Look round you, the cities, the coastlines, the monuments of our world. Now imagine this: every glacier, every iceberg, every frozen cap of the Arctic and Antarctica, gone. All ice on Earth melts. The oceans rise not by inches, not by meters, but by 70 meters. What would happen to our planet then? First, the flood. Cities that have stood for centuries, New York, London, Shanghai, Mumbai, Rio, would vanish beneath the waves, entire nations, like the Maldives, Bangladesh, and the Netherlands, would drown overnight. Billions of people would be forced to flee inland, turning mountains into the last safe havens. The map of Earth as we know it would be erased, redrawn in water and ruin. But the destruction wouldn't stop with drowning. 70 meters of ocean rising means the loss of nearly every fertile coastline. Farmlands that feed half of humanity gone under salt water. Ports that drive global trade vanished. Economies would collapse. Hunger would spread. Wars would erupt over the last pieces of high ground. Humanity would be fighting not for power, but for survival. And the climate. Chaos. Ice is Earth's mirror, reflecting sunlight back into space. With it gone, the planet would absorb heat like never before. Deserts would expand. Rainforests would wither. Storms would grow monstrous. Hurricanes tearing across oceans supercharged by heat. The Earth would not only flood, it would burn, yet the oceans themselves would transform. New coastlines would cut deep into the continents. The Mediterranean would swallow Europe. The Amazon would become an inland sea. Africa would split apart. North America's heartland would be drowned. What we call continents today would be scattered islands in a vast and endless ocean. But humanity adapts. Survivors would build floating cities, massive arcs drifting across the waters. Technology would shift towards survival at sea ocean farming, storm-proof colonies. Underwater mining. Our civilizations would no longer be nations of land, but empires of the sea. Humanity would become a species of sailors, bound not to soil but to waves, and culture itself would be transformed. Ancient monuments like the pyramids, the Statue of Liberty, and the Taj Mahal would vanish beneath the water, remembered only in myths and records. New religions might rise, worshipping the sea not as enemy, but as God. Generations would be born who never knew land as home, children who learned to swim before they walked, who looked at water not as danger, but as destiny. But here's the haunting truth. Even if we survived, our numbers would fall. Billions would die in the floods, in the famines, in the wars. Humanity would shrink to a fraction of its size, clinging to floating fortresses, scattered like islands in an endless sea. So, what if all ice melted and oceans rose 70 meters? Our planet would drown. Our civilizations would fall. Humanity would be forced to start over, not as rulers of land, but as wanderers of water. The world we know would end, and a new one would begin. Because the earth has always had the power to take back what it gave us. And if the seas ever rise to claim the land, one truth will remain. Humanity can drown in the flood, or it can learn to ride the waves.